Back in 2011, Google jumped into the broadband world by launching Google Fiber. And we talked about it pretty extensively then, and we talked about the really positive impact from the point of view of consumers, not from the point of view of big broadband companies. The positive impact that the introduction of Google Fiber has had on the cities where it has become available. It has actually increased competition. It has held prices lower for broadband, and it has really caused a problem for some of the big broadband providers. Now Google has announced even bigger plans. It wants to start beaming wireless broadband directly into homes all over the United States. The caveat is that Google hasn't yet figured out exactly how to make the technology work. And what they would go after is what's called the last mile problem, which is typically addressed by the very slow process, and a very expensive process actually, of stringing a web of wires directly into homes. So as you can imagine, Lewis, in a big city, you run broadband all the way into a big building or a block with high population density. And it really does pay off to wire all the way into individual buildings because of the population density, and one block gives you a significant amount of revenue. In more rural areas, and this is why when we see municipal broadband, we tend to see it in more rural areas, it can be worthwhile financially for the cable provider, the broadband provider, to get wiring sort of into a neighborhood, but the population density can be so low that it doesn't really make sense to start wiring down to the individual block or building or home level. Many small towns don't even have buildings with numerous apartments or higher population density. So the concept here is to go that last mile, as it's called, and sometimes it's more than a mile, sometimes it's less than a mile. You can beam the broadband service wirelessly. And as I mentioned, the technology has not yet been figured out 100%, but the idea would be you connect existing wireless towers to existing fiber lines with a variety of wireless technologies. The idea is fantastic. And again, Lewis, the big legacy broadband providers are not liking this one bit, which is the number one sign that this would be really great for consumers.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're in a position where it's really up to a company that, like Google, to try and compete with the major telecom companies. There aren't municipalities all over the country could be doing this on their own if they wanted to. It's just that somehow the telecom companies keep convincing them that they shouldn't, and that for some reason it's better to have to deal with Comcast or whoever. So good
And
for
to be
Google.
really
I hope it
clear,
works.
on what you're saying, Lewis, the municipalities can do it broadly speaking, but typically when they enter into an agreement with a company like Comcast, they are agreeing not to do municipal broadband, and if they do, they would be in breach of that contract with Comcast or whoever. So before you ever make a deal with the devil, so to speak, sure, you can do municipal broadband. Once you do a deal with a company like Comcast or Time Warner or whoever, very often that contract says you can't do that anymore.
That's right. And that deal with the devil is really appropriate here. There are a few things I can think of that are closer to the devil than these giant telecom companies.
Google Fiber is currently or soon to be available in Atlanta, Austin, Charlotte, Huntsville, Kansas City, Nashville, Provo, Utah, Raleigh, Durham, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, and San Francisco, and future cities already being added to that list. I don't know, Lewis, I kind of like dealing with Comcast. I mean, what better than an outrageous monthly cost for relatively slow internet service, incompetent tech support, with individuals with a limited grasp of the English language, and the requirement to set aside 90 minutes if you have to call them for any reason, even a simple billing request. It really builds character and strengthens the individual.
And don't forget the fact that it's almost impossible to cancel your subscription.
I actually, to Comcast's credit, I have been able to cancel service when I've moved relatively easily, but when you're moving, I think that's when they go at you the least aggressively because, after all, you're not going to be in their service area anymore.